Well, I know I told you yesterday that I was doing the last video of the year, but Wine Club members, you have been patiently waiting for the Wine Club notes for December to be written, and having proofread them, I can take my glasses off. They are written. They are written, and I think we owe it to just give you a little video this month around as compensation that just briefly describes what you're getting in your wine club. If you are not into reading, and I don't blame you, you can just get a snippet on your various wine club wines via this video. I'll get it out today along with the notes. So read it or watch it. And here we are, one more time before New Year's. I've already knocked the coffee cups off of the table. I'm not going to replicate that. Let's get to the Wine Club notes for December. Wine Club wines for December. Red Collector Club comes first, and by the way, I'm going to try to work down the list as you would see them in your notes. So Red Collector Club is getting a bottle of 2018 Domaine Eden Cabernet Sauvignon. Domaine Eden is the second wine, or second label, one rung down in quality, one might say, of Mount Eden, which costs quite a bit more and takes a lot more aging to kind of come around and be drinkable. Domaine Eden, Cabernet, and the other four primary Bordeaux varieties are all included in this wine, grown not in Napa, not in Washington for once, but in the Santa Cruz Mountains. This is a tried and true, reliable, virtually every vintage wine we have clubbed several times, just like we've clubbed the D2 from DeLille last month. So this is another frequent non-offender, one might say. Domaine Eden, sturdy, structured, ageable. It's along with fruit. It's got beautiful savories, earth and herb, and maybe some forest smells as well. And maybe that has to do with proximity to the mountainside forests up there. Santa Cruz Mountains, to make a Santa Cruz Mountain wine and call it that, you have to grow it at a certain elevation. Did you know that? So they have to be up a ways in order to say Santa Cruz Mountains on there. Really nice wine, again. And one of the critics out there, Venice, Antonio Galloni, Venice said, this is possibly one of the best values in artisan California Cabernet. I think I would agree. However, it lies with this for your attention this month. This is Acumen. Looks familiar because we did, in fact, club Acumen last year. This is their Mountainside Cabernet. This is Napa Valley, but not really in very Napa Valley because it's grown way up above the Napa Valley floor on Atlas Peak. So this is on the east side of the Napa Valley. You have to get off of the Silverado Trail, head east, wind way up, and finally you encounter this vineyard. So the fruit's remarkably wonderful mountain fruit, and it is rendered by or guided by a famous winemaker named Phil Titus. He is the consulting winemaker for Acumen, and Phil Titus is better known for making his own namesake wines, Titus, and especially for being the longtime winemaker of Chapelet Vineyards, just to the north in the Pritchard Hill area. So he's not driving all that far to get here. Actually, he probably has to go down Pritchard Hill, down Silverado Trail, and then back up Soda Canyon Road to get to this place. But as the crow flies, they're not too far apart. The mountain shows in this wine. It's a 2019 this year, and 19 with all Napa Valley Cabernets are, it's a darker wine experience. A really beautiful darker fruit happens in all of those. And even though you've got mountain effect here of scrub and structure and sagebrush and that kind of thing, always happens in Acumen. This year, there's a darker conference of fruit, beautiful berries come alongside. So very nice wine, ageable, and delicious tonight with a, you know what I'm going to say, a ribeye. All right, Red Collector Club, here you go. Red Collector Club, sorry for the stained label. Another bottle broke inside this box, so that's not very attractive, I apologize. What is attractive, and kind of stupid though, is these guys put a sticker on here proclaiming 93 points from James Suckling. Well, this wine deserves it, but they don't really have to put that there, do they? At any rate, got a nice rating. This is a 2016 Bordeaux called Croix de Morlaber, and it's from Saint-Emilion. That means it's from the right bank of Bordeaux, where Merlot is emphasized. Merlot makes a Bordeaux a little more comfy and a little more ready to drink sooner. And that happens here in the 16. Now that said, 16s are all chunky monkey wines. It's a very, very good vintage, very durable vintage. And 16s, just anywhere you throw a dart in Bordeaux, are going to give you more darkness, more heft, more structure, and you'd better be ready with meat. So many of the wines we're giving the wine club, the various wine clubs this month, are winter wines. And maybe I was in a mood because the rain was coming. Maybe I just sensed the coming of the rain, just the same way an animal about to hibernate starts to store up things. I was starting to think of wines that might go well with cold, dark, rainy nights. And this is certainly one of them. You want to have heavy foods with it, all right? It's a very good, very honestly good 2016 Napa Valley Bordeaux. What's coming along with that is yet another winter wine, of course. That's the theme, I said. This is called Barua, and longtime world-class wine club members have seen this wine before, but this is the newest vintage, 2018. It's already getting beautiful accolades. It got an accolade from the wine steward in the form of being a placement on our best wines of 2022 list, best 41 wines. So I wrote about it there. And now you world-class wine club members get to have it, or have to have it. It depends on your attitude toward a big structured wine, because this is made of Carignano, I should say, which is also known as Carignan, perhaps more popularly known as Carignan. Over in Rioja, it has another name, Masuelo, and in Priorat, a couple different names, Samso is one of them, and so on. At any rate, Carignan is the most well-known name for this, 85% there, and then Merlot and Cabernet play into this as well. From the island of Sardinia, Italy, and it is made, in fact, by the same group who makes Sassicaia. So if that gives a little cred to a wine like this that you've never heard of, the fact that one of the greatest makers of super Tuscan wine, they go to another place in Italy to fashion this, I mean, I think that's important to know. It, like, gives you a little confidence in what we're handing you, right? Anyway, Carignan is structured and gruff and wants a winter feast, so there it is. This will also age pretty darn well, but give it some air, give it some thought, anticipate your mouth being affected and then being corrected with protein, all right? All right, now we're gonna go to the California Wine Lovers Club, whatever we're calling it nowadays, and give you a Napa Valley wine that is not Cabernet, but it is all Napa Valley. It is made by the folks who make Ghost Block Cabernet, so that's a high-end wine from these folks. And Elizabeth Rose Choco Block red wine is kind of like a chip off the old block, if you will. We've given it to you California Wine Club members, I think, twice before. This is especially in the smoke vintage, which affected a lot of reds in the Napa Valley, a totally unaffected, beautiful value from a place where wines are getting more and more expensive. So still for the low 20s and maybe down to right about 20 with your wine club discount, you're getting a very delicious, totally authentic, medium-bodied red wine from the Napa Valley. Medium in body, not medium in character. It is full-blown character, but in the mouth, it doesn't it's not souped up, it is not manufactured. A lot of wines at this price point are really faked out. There's different ways to do that in a winery. We'd rather give you something honest, even if that means that the wine is not going to be as alcoholically big in your mouth. I think character catches up and trumps alcoholic body size. I think what a thoughtful wine club member, especially someone who's eating with their wine, will appreciate about this is it tastes real. It tastes like Napa cabbageness, not cabbageness. All right. Elizabeth Rose Choco Block, it's back. Now let's take you somewhere else for a 2020 that worked. Another 2020 that worked. This takes us to Paso Robles. We don't go there very often. For me, Paso Robles gives me, especially in inexpensive wines, a little too much sauce and stew, plummy fruit that goes like stewed plum, and sometimes all the way to raisin. Well, I was really happy with this fully ripe and yet restrained Calipaso Cabernet Sauvignon. There's not much to know about the winery. It looks like a very nice place to stay if you stay. If you look at their website, you can see that you can rent places here in the so-called villa. I've never been there, so I can't attest to that, but look pretty cool. At any rate, Calipaso, wonderful value, forward fruit, but not too much of it. I'm all about giving you flavor that you will want to keep savoring instead of being sick of at first sip. Like, that's good, I don't need any more. I want you to have a second glass. Why? Because I'm a freaking retailer. I want you to come back and buy more. So anyway, it is it's ideal for us to give you wines of which you want a second glass, a second bottle, a second case, whatever. Calipaso, I think it'll work here for those who like nice, ripe, and affordable red wine, and it's called Cab. Okay, let's go to another club, shall we? let us bring you here to, oh, finally, an open bottle. And I see an empty glass over there. Hang on one second. I am going to get my empty glass and have some of this wine because I haven't had enough of it yet. I think I've already had a glass of it, but I want a second glass of Morgante Rosso, Nero di Avola. This is from the island of Sicily, the southern island of Italy, right? And the most prevalent red grape there is the grape Nero di Avola. Look at that color, look at that Nero, right? So Nero di Avola is yet another one of those wines that can overachieve. I mean, people who really love a sensuous texture in their wine, but they don't necessarily smell their wine or taste their wine, they just love palate feel, they like Nero di Avola, or the typical Nero di Avola, because it feels nice and yummy. Well, if they were to smell their wine and taste their wine, they would also encounter Nero di Avola's typical tendency for stewiness. And I've said that before with respect to another wine today, but Nero can really do that. It can be just too much of a good thing. So here I am respecting a refreshing Nero di Avola. It's got all of the appropriate color. It has beautiful fragrance of fruit, a little bit of that stewed plum, but not too much of it. Most importantly, on the palate, it's not ooey gooey. It has refreshment. It makes me want to eat, and it makes me want to have a second glass. I remain engaged with this wine. Nero di Avola from Morgante, one of the great producers of the area. Now let's stay in Italy, but go to another part of it called Lazio. Lazio is the province, you could say, of Italy, where Rome resides, the capital of the whole country. Lazio is not necessarily known historically for great wine. They make wine just like any other area of Italy, but their wine has not been highly regarded. They haven't really had to make great wine. They just service Rome with a wine called, in the case of the red wine, Cesanese, and it is perhaps something that you might see served more often in a tumbler than in fine stemware. This is yet another wine I put on the best wines of 2020 list, not because it's expensive or really crazy in character, but because it is a highly successful, unlikely highly successful Cesanese. Cesanese is the name of the grape, and it is it's a primary red grape of Lazio near Rome. And again, what you would drink in Rome, most Cesaneses ought to stay in Rome and never come here. This one deserved to come here. It has real character. It has beautiful mass. I think on a weeknight when you're making bold, again, winter fare, like big heavy stuff, this will go wonderfully with it. Cesanese, it's back. Second vintage of this particular wine that we have given you wine club members because so many of you came back for the first vintage of this. It is back. Casale di Giglio, something like that. All right, now let's go to the White Wine Club, shall we? And do what we haven't done for too long. This is a sparkling wine at long last, and what better month to give you a sparkling wine, but just on the cusp of New Year's Eve, and maybe you've already drunk your bottle already, but it's delicious. Come back and get some more of this Prosecco. Yes, for your budget, we could have given you a Cava from Spain, we could have given you a Cremant from France, and Corbel from California, which we probably would not have done. So instead, we are returning to the topic of Prosecco, which has long been, well, by some, a little bit dismissed by we snooty folks who say, oh, Prosecco, that's just for bunco parties and brunches and mothers-in-law and such. This is very good Prosecco. This is an extra dry from Sorgente, made entirely of the Glera grape, and it is good Prosecco. It's an extra dry, like I said, which means there's a slightly higher residual sugar. That does not mean it is sweet. There's not enough sugar in this wine for you to detect sweetness, but just to add a creaminess, a certain mouthfeel of richness. It is very nice Prosecco. I think it would go wonderfully with seafood and mothers-in-law as well. So give it a shot. Sorgente, very nice, bubbly. Happy New Year. Now, the other white wine, very complex stuff from Nîmes. Nîmes, Costières de Nîmes, is part of the Rhone Valley, the closest part of the Rhone Valley, the southern Rhone, to the actual Mediterranean Sea. And so, because of that adjacency, this area of the Rhone actually gets cooler nights, so there's a nice acid retention based on cooler evenings here in Nîmes, N-I-M-E-S, which is where the term denim came from, the type of cloth of which Levi's are made. At any rate, this is a wine from there made of, gosh, I think 5 or 6 different varieties: Roussanne and Grenache Blanc and Marsanne and Viognier and Vermentino, which now, even though it says Vermentino on the back label, I think they're going to get spanked for that because it's supposed to be called Rolle now. They want that Italian variety to sound French when they grow it in France, right? Rolle is in here. So I think you get the brine of the ocean, the nearby Mediterranean, and the fleshiness of some of those varieties, like Viognier, that's got some stuff to it, but Vermentino's adding some tang as well, and Grenache is kind of moderating. It's kind of like, okay, everybody behave here. So it's this wonderful mix that's complex. This is complex white wine that has some seashore qualities and some richness because it is, in fact, a Rhone white blend. So it's I think it'll be really fun to figure out. I think I would have halibut or sea bass with it, a richer white fish. So give it a go. Now, finally, to the Tuesday Night Wine Club, which I think we've renamed, and I'm not so trained on that yet, so I'm just going to call it the less expensive wine club that we have, where we give you a value right every month, or 2 of them. And this one comes from North Macedonia. The grape is Vranac, and I know that's not a household term, but I think when you smell this wine, and especially look at that beautiful deep dark color that you'll see in your glass, you're going to say, this is appealing so far. And then when you put it in your mouth, you're going to say, I recognize big fruit and big tannin. Well, it's kind of like Cabernet, right? It's not quite Cabernet, but it is something that you will relate to, and something, again, to have winter fare with. The name of the grape is Vranac, the location, North Macedonia, and, we had to do it. I think it's a beautiful value from a place you perhaps have never had wine from. So go there. This, incidentally, is from our friend Tom Kelly, who presents the Italian wine events upstairs on the mezzanine. So this is a departure for him, going a little bit east of Italy to a place to find you some really good and distinctive value. Finally, a wine that James Suckling and Wine Enthusiast both gave 92 point scores to, that is still in your club, the Inexpensive Wine Club. This is a Ribera del Duero 2016 Crianza from Viña Gormaz, 100% Tempranillo. Yes, I know we've given you a lot of Tempranillo lately, but we've been jumping around Spain, and this is, in fact, from one of Spain's arguably 2 greatest places for the grape. So we'll finish our little current tour of Tempranillo in one of its best geographical representations, shall I say, if I can say. Again, got great ratings, and when the Wine Enthusiast gave it that 92 point score, they assumed it was going to be a $26 bottle of wine. Well, you're getting it for quite a bit less. I think you wine club members will be right around $15 for this wine, which acts like Bordeaux. I mean, it's dark Tempranillo. That's what happens in Ribera del Duero. Dark structure. I hope some of you like lamb. Lamb chops off the grill would be amazing with this. That's what they would have in Ribera del Duero with a wine like this. Please give it a little bit of air. Give it some kind of protein if you don't like lamb. And you will realize that here we have a wonderful value. I know I'm swirling something around that is not that wine, but I'm just in the mood. Thank you again, Wine Club members. We'd love to retain your memberships. We would love to keep you aboard and to have you tell other people. We need to grow our club numbers just to keep going around here. And we really appreciate your attention. So whether you read them or watched them, thank you for observing the notes. That's one of the qualities of your particular wine club experience here at the Wine Steward. And Happy New Year. Thanks so much.